Well, we're moving on to the next game, obviously. We were in exactly the same situation last year, same record. Didn't play exactly the same teams, but very similar teams. And we went to Nevada, so it's the same state. We went to Nevada, and Nevada beat us. And we really struggled after that winning games. Our league is such that there's no dominant team in our league, but there's no easy gimmies in our league either. UNLV has struggled here lately, but all you have to do is turn on the film and watch them against Vanderbilt, and you can see how good they can be. They've just been inconsistent. They're a talented football team that has a world of potential that just hasn't hit stride. Now, they hit stride against Vanderbilt, which is a Southeast Conference team, and it wasn't even close. They outplayed Vanderbilt so bad it was unbelievable. So I was assuming that Vanderbilt wasn't any good. And then I saw last week where Vanderbilt beat Missouri, who was in the top 10. So obviously UNLV has some excellent athletes and can play really, really well at times. So the idea that we're going to go in there and just win the game is ridiculous.
Can you talk about the kid quarterback, Oblide, and then the running back, Williams?
Well, I'd like to know who the starting quarterback is going to be. Because they have three guys listed. He's just listed as a starter, and he's played very, very well as a true freshman. Has good touch on the ball, has good accuracy with the football, buys time with his feet. Doesn't run it a lot, but buys times with his feet. The other guy on the list that was the starter at the beginning of the year, he's a great athlete. Throws the ball pretty well, runs it really, really well. He's still their second leading rusher. And the other guy on the depth chart at quarterback is the guy that played against us last year and beat us. All three of them have talent. All three of them play well, even though maybe inconsistently, but they all three play very, very well at times. And they all require a little bit different defensive scheme when you play against them. So basically, we're spending only a third of the time on defense than we normally do when we know who the quarterback's going to be.
How much more work is that when you don't know who the starter's going to be?
Well, it's not more work really, because you only can practice so many hours in a day, and we keep our practice schedule. Once we get in the season, we keep our practice schedule exactly the same. So you get a third of the reps. You mean a third of your reps are against what you think one quarterback does well, a third of your reps is against what the other quarterback does well, and so you split your practice up in thirds. So consequently, you're not near as prepared as if you were spending all those reps on one quarterback.
If obviously it's a game you have to win, and it's irrelevant to you that this is your last game at Sandboy Stadium before UNLV Stadium.
I hadn't even thought about that, but yeah.
But again, they're going from artificial turf stadium to natural grass, and you've been practicing on the turf field, I assume, this week.
Every week we practice on both. We spend half our time on the grass and we spend half our time on the turf. We used to practice on the turf when we played on the turf field, and we used to practice on the grass when we played on the grass field. But there are so few grass fields left in this world that that's kind of a waste of time. But I do think grass is softer. I think grass is easier on the players. So we spend half the time on the grass, half the time on the turf, because I think it's good for the players to be on the grass. They get their legs back a little bit better. Then when we only spend half the time on the grass, we don't wear it out either.
Can you talk about Williams, heavy-duty running back?
He's as talented a running back as there is in this league. And when he's hot, he makes them a whole lot better football team. He's one of those guys that can make you miss. He can run through arm tackles, and if he gets out in the open, he's fast enough to outrun you. So he's a challenge. He's a challenge in his own right that makes you honest against some of the other things they do, because he's so good at carrying the football.
You talked about the key to the defense and what you need to take care of. What about the offense? offense, what do you think the key is for the offense needs to do in this game?
Well, the offense needs to do what we did in the second half against San Jose. And that's control the line of scrimmage and be able to run the ball. And when we needed to throw it to get a first down, throw it and catch it and get a first down. Now, that's the positive. I think if you count both the offense and the defense, the best we played all year was in the second half against San Jose. I didn't think we played worth a darn in the first half on either side of the ball. But we played well in both sides of the ball in the second half against San Jose.
Rocky, you surprised that Tony Sanchez has had such a tough time? Does it look like he was about to turn the corner and now it seems to have regressed again?
Well, I think Tony's a really good coach. He's proven that he's a really good coach. You never know unless you're in the situation yourself and in the program yourself. You never know. I mean, around here, after we went 6-1 early in the season and we had a below par second half of the season, everybody wondered what was wrong. I mean, it could have been something wrong. It could have been just we had a whole bunch of our good players hurt. It could have been a whole bunch of different reasons. So there's no telling what the issues are there. And unless you're within the program, you don't know what they are. But he's a really good coach. He's a good guy. If they give him time like they should, he'll get it right.
Are you surprised about one winning season since 2000?
I guess I'm not either way. I don't think about other teams. I think about our team.
Anything else for Coach?
Can you talk a little bit about penalties and what, last week some of them kind of maybe cost you a touchdown and what you've done to try and correct that this week?
Well, anytime we have an issue, we try to correct it in practice, so we're working on certain things in practice. The ones that get you are the illegal procedures where your offensive lineman moved before the snap of the ball or those kind of things. Those are concentration errors. And so you have to put them in those situations in practice and hopefully get them that they'll concentrate better in the game and not get those kind of penalties. Those are penalties that can be prevented. Some penalties are just on how that you can't prevent. It's just how the official happens to see him at the time. But an offensive lineman moving before the snap of the ball, you ought to be able to prevent that, and that has to be done in practice, and we've been doing that. We've been trying to do that in practice.